everybody, welcome back to the Drum Mission. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about left-handed drumming. I am left-handed, that is obvious. A left-handed drummer? Now you can do what you want, but a traditional left-handed drummer sets up with his hi-hat on his right side and the drums circle to his left. A right-handed drummer, which we see most of, they have their hi-hat on the left side and the drums circle to the right. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about, recently I watched a couple of videos of guys telling left-handed drummers what they should do, or how they should set up and how they should approach things. And all the videos I watched, and I watched like 5 or 6, they were all righties. This is right-handed people telling left-handed people what they should do. And I kept thinking, this is like a man telling a woman what childbirth should feel like. How stupid. And I said, I've never done this. Why don't I do this? I'm left-handed. So there are several schools of thought on left-handed drumming. And I'm going to talk about each of them and why I chose many years ago to set up my kit left-handed. And I'm in good company. Two of my favorite drummers both set their kits up left-handed. Phil Collins, who in my mind is one of the best total rock drummers of all time. He plays not only progressive rock but pop. He's had a big band where he swang like crazy. Great drummer. And another great drummer, a lot of jazz in his playing, is Ian Pace. Here's their pictures. Both of them set up their drums left-handed, just like I do. And they are both great. But even among all the musicians, there are very few, even though there are a lot of lefty musicians, and there are a lot of lefty drummers, very few actually set up their kit like I do, like Phil, like Ian, and I'm sure there's a couple of others. And so the question has become why? Why? First off, let's start with the Superstition, because we're going back now. Ringo's very well-known left-handed drummer. He talked about it a lot. I'm going to put up a video of his talking about that in a couple of minutes. His grandmother told him the devil would get him. That was a superstition. As a matter of fact, if you go back to the 16th century, if you were left-handed, if they caught you, they burned you at the stake. So a lot of this comes from the church, that the devil would possess you if you were left-handed. And I could quote you the biblical text that they get this from, but it's silly. It's silly. But even now, this is why I say there's a lot of genetics involved, because even now that we don't think that way, and by the way, there was still superstition about left-handed people coming from the church, even as late as the 1970s. I know. I went to Catholic school and they tried to make me stop writing with my left hand and write with my right hand, because literally the one nun I remember, Sister Mary Lucille, told me the devil would get me in the middle of the night if I didn't stop. This was 1972. So Ringo talks about what his grandmother told him. So there was a lot of superstition and negativity about being openly left-handed, even up until, a couple of decades ago. So most drummers that are lefty play righty. I think they do themselves a disservice. If you ask them, you hear this reason floating around a lot. Well, you don't want to be that, this is the reason. You don't want to be that annoying guy that goes to the jam and has to turn the kit around because he's left-handed. You don't want to be him. Okay, I am him. I have been playing since I was 11. I can count on one hand guys who didn't let me turn their kit around on jams. As a matter of fact, I know how many it is. 2. I have hosted, now it's a little different, I have hosted jams in bands or my own all the time. I've been doing one now almost 2 years. I've been hosting this one particular jam on Monday nights at the Cadju Cafe, 8:30 in Detroit. You should come down to that, Cadju Cafe. Every Monday night, 8:30 it starts. We play the first hour. We play 8:30 to 9:30. I walk off the stage. Before I walk off the stage, the very first thing I do is turn my kit back to being right-handed. I play it lefty, turn it to righty, let all the right-handed drummers come up and jam, and then at the end of the night, I turn it back around to lefty, and we usually close the night out the last 20 minutes or half hour. Again, it's not been an issue for me to ask folks, hey, would you mind if I just move your snare and floor tom around? I'll leave the tom and the cymbals where they are because I'm left-handed. Only 2 people have said no. And I'm going to show you how even those 2 people that said no, it worked to my advantage. Anyway, I'll get to that later. So when you are lefty playing righty, there's pluses and minuses to that. Ringo's my best example. Ringo had a hard time being lefty on a righty kit, going around the toms, leading with his right hand. And that's really because he didn't practice enough, and he admits that. So he came up with a staggered way of playing. Staggered, right? Which was like, what I mean by that is, a day in the life. I read the news today, oh boy. His drum solo. He was never really doing this. He was doing, always moving around, breaking up his fills, so he did 2 or 3 notes at a time, because he had a hard time doing dabba 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 and doing that righty in a righty kit because he was left-handed. So, the fact that he had a hard time rolling around the kit, that's a disadvantage. But what's the advantage? Oh my God! Nobody was really doing that staggered tom thing until he did it. He started doing it, and it became his signature, or one of his signatures. And everybody went, wow, wow. And they copied it. So, if he had been a lefty playing on a lefty kit, would he have done that? Maybe. I don't know. Stuart Copeland, the same thing. He's a lefty playing in a righty kit. Same thing. He quotes that he didn't want to be the annoying guy at jams. Okay. But yet Stewie also came up with a very unique way of playing. The Arabic balladi or reggae infused his playing. And despite what Sting says, and I love Sting, one of the reasons that the Police were so successful was Stewie's drumming. Plain and simple. If they had a regular drummer in there, would not have happened. So if you're a lefty, think about it. Maybe try to play righty a little bit, see what you come up with. Okay, I think if you work hard enough at it, I think it will take you longer to master righty drums. If you're left-handed, it may help you come up with more interesting beats. I don't know. I didn't go that way, and we'll get to what I did a little bit. The other school of thought is to play open-handed. In other words, you're setting up righty, but you're playing with your left hand still on the hi-hat. And a lot of those guys, Lenny White used to do it, Simon Phillips does it that way, Carter Buford does it that way. A lot of guys, they have the righty kit, but they're playing open-handed, or they're not crossing over, and a lot of guys like that. I think Simon Phillips is one of the best at it. He plays with the hi-hat much lower, so he's not having to raise up his hand. That's something, and it frees him up on the righty kit to really move around with his other hand. So it works out good. It's an interesting way of playing. Here's my criticism of it. I think those guys tend to overplay a little bit out of the pocket, especially Carter Buford. Carter Buford, believe me, he's a great drummer. I don't care for the style all that much. There's a couple of guys that try to emulate him around town, and when I hear them do it, I don't like it either. And they're even righties playing on a righty kit. And they got that Carter Buford style going on of really infusing the entire kit and making it seems the beats become very disjointed. But it could be because I'm a little more old school. I kind of come from that Steve Gadd way of being more groovy. So it could be just me. So I don't want to put that in there. I don't particularly like it. But open-handed is another way to go. So where do you have the problem with that? Your feet will still be right-footed if you're on a righty kit. So there's that one guy, Henry, on YouTube, and he's a lefty that plays open-handed, but then he uses a double pedal to switch his feet back around. And that, all that stuff is really expensive. He actually plays with 2 hi-hats, a remote hi-hat, his regular hi-hat, he's got the double pedal. That stuff is real. After a while, just a normal kit for that guy costs him like an extra $1,000 when, I picked up this yellow Gretsch Catalina for like $900. I'm saying, the whole thing. So I don't know how much I'm for being really convoluted in your setup, but today you can. If you look on YouTube, there's guys that set up with their tom-toms on the other side of the hi-hat. They play with the snare on up here where the rack tom is. All sorts of things happen. So anything goes. I don't want to be the guy that says, no, it's not the way you should do it. But I think open-handed has a problem with your feet. So, but I know because I taught for many years. And I would have one kit set up. So I had mostly righty students, of course, and they would play right-handed. And when I would have to show them something, sometimes I would do it open-handed if it was a little complicated. And the hardest time I had is any kind of fast doubles with my right foot on the bass drum. My right foot is definitely not as fast as my left. However, that's not true of my hands. So I want to get into this a little bit now. Because I studied a lot of rudiments, and with my first teacher, and all those books, the Buddy Rich book, the George Stone book, are written for righties, I led with my right hand all the time. So I have a very strong right hand. As a matter of fact, I've been told by many of the music directors I've worked for over the years that they have noticed, or they had noticed, lefty drummers had a stronger snare hand or right hand than righty drummers had a left hand. So my right hand was more powerful or stronger, more agile than my righty counterparts. And I think that's because my rudiment books, I did everything 2 ways, the right-handed way and the left-handed way, because all the books were written for a righty. So again, open-handed is an option. Think about that. Maybe you like that. Try it. I say try it. Try it. I did. Through courses, parts of my life, especially teaching, I tried it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I preferred this. So let's get to the real left-handed drummer. So when I started out, my teacher, Carl Ferraro, this is in Yonkers, New York, wouldn't let me touch a drum set for like a year and a half. I played out of the Buddy Rich book, and I played out of the George Stone book, and I did those books forever, getting my hands together. But my teacher, I told him that I felt uncomfortable playing on a righty kit. I did that first when I got to it, because of my feet. I've always been the guy, I trip over my own feet all the freaking time. I guess I'm not coordinated down there, but I'm coordinated like this. So he switched it around, and that poor guy, when he would demonstrate for me, he had to sit on a lefty kit. Just like for my students, when I got to demonstrate, I sit on a righty kit. So I did it, and it felt better. But let me tell you this one story, how spending a little time doing things 2 ways was good and healthy. I'll tell this little story, then I'm going to play a little bit, and then I'll fade out that, and we'll get to Ringo talking about, I think Ringo and Ian Pace talking about their left-handed experience, okay? And then I'll see you next week. But I was in New York for a while, for a couple of months, and I was playing around with this Genesis tribute band all over New York State, really. And I went to a jam at the bitter end with Billy Joel, sax player, who was leading that jam. I forget his name. Campbell, maybe his last name? I can't remember. Anyway, They didn't know who I was, and they left me there, the last person. It was like 1:45 in the morning, and I was there from 8 o'clock. And I got up and I said to the guy, I knew he was Billy Joel's sax player, and I wanted to make a good impression on him. And I said, I knew it was going to be a pain. I said, I'm left-handed, and I usually switch the drums a little bit. And he said, and I quote, he's one of the two that said no. He said, man, it's 1:45 in the morning. We're really done. If you can play them the way they are. If not, we're going to close up now. But because I was in New York and I was playing in New York, and this is really going back to 2016, and I was teaching a lot, almost 6-7 hours a day, and playing at least simple things right-handed quite frequently, I said, no, I'll just play them right-handed. And the song he had called out, I really was able to do kind of a disco beat to them. I remember doing that, the first one he called out. And the second was a simple rock beat. So I did this disco beat kind of thing. And I get done playing. So this is where it worked to my advantage. But it worked to my advantage, I didn't do anything complicated with my feet. I kept my feet just playing really 1 and 3, or all 4 on the floor. He said, if that's you playing backwards, then come back again next week, because I want to hear you play the way you like to play. I'll switch them around for you, because if that was bad for you, I got to hear what good is, because that pocket was great. And I ended up getting gigs with some of the guys in the band. So there was my advantage. And that didn't happen just once in my life. That same scenario has happened in smaller versions at least 3 times that I can think about off the top of my head. Let me play a little bit for you, fade out, and get to Ringo. Here's my advice to you. If you are lefty, check out the possibilities. Play right-handed, see how it feels. For your feet too. Play open-handed, see how it feels. Try something no one's thought of yet. And then set up this way. This is the traditional left hand setup. Set up this way. And if it feels right, come on, man. Be one of us. Be one of us children of the devil.
Were you always a lefty? Let's show some of the kit here.
Yeah, I do certain things right-handed. If I pick up a knife and fork, I pick it up right-handed. If I throw a ball, I do it left-handed. If I hold a bat, I do it right-handed.
Really? Bat right-handed?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I think that helps if you are a drummer, that you're not totally one-sided, you know. We have soccer players that can kick a ball with their right foot, but they have trouble standing up on the left one.
Right.
You know? So I think if you do have this ability to share the load, it makes the independence thing and the fact that you're doing 4 different things at the same time a little easier to deal with. Not necessarily a rule, but I think it does help if your idiot side isn't quite as dumb as everybody else's idiot side.
I am left-handed, born left-handed, and my grandmother decided the devil had me, and so I write with my right hand, and but I play darts with my left hand. I'm golfing left-handed. So besides writing, there's not a lot I do right-handed, but that was enough for her. And so people try and follow the fills I do, say. It's impossible, because I'm using this hand. I can go around the drums if I'm going tom, tom, floor tom, bottom, bottom, bottom. This way, leading. If I'm leading, I can only come from the floor tom around, But it's helped me because you know, boom, boom, ba, ba, ba. Just so the handicap is worthwhile.